Mind, episode 2. Again, it's an informal little podcast just to talk about the latest things going on in the universe of Starship Moonhawk, the Lavenders, and, well, pretty much everything else I'm doing. Of course, it's unscripted, so I'm just going to be talking off the cuff for up to 10 minutes about whatever happens across my mind. First and foremost, words are hard. Use your words, Mac. We've invited Tony Smith to join the tertiary cast of the Lavenders, and he'll be playing the bouncer in episode 1 or 0, depending on your perspective. We're trying to get all these secondary roles cast, and so yeah, I'm pretty excited to bring him on board, and hopefully you'll enjoy what he does, and that'll be great. Let's see. Above and beyond that, there's not a ton to report. I do have a new page of Starship Moonhawk, the webcomic, which I will be posting later on today. And I'm still waiting for my registration sticker to come in, so I really haven't been driving for Uber and Lyft. I luckily have been able to do DoorDash, and I haven't been stopped yet for having expiring tags. Although I did have one cop looking at me pretty hard one day, and I guess he called dispatchers, and they said, no, his registration's up to date. If not, I have my receipt on hand for any doubting Thomases who may come along and say, "Oh, well, you don't have the sticker on there." And it's like, yeah, well, thanks. Tell our politicians in the state of Arizona that maybe they shouldn't have canceled people's ability to get temporary registrations and stickers printed at the MVD. Duh. Especially in the middle of a pandemic. I don't get that. Are the offices just closed? Is nobody doing anything? Is that how we're doing this now? Is that what that's all about? Stupid volume control. Anyway, yeah, so there's that. So today you get a view of my window and my part of my command center. And I keep trying to figure out where to look because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to look directly into the center of the camera or if I'm supposed to watch myself on the screen here. So if I seem like an idiot, please forgive me. But yeah, that's what we've got going on in the immediate sense. Uh, Last night, Keith and I constructed the visuals for the first episode of The Lavenders, as well as me recording my. It's not my acting debut. Obviously, I'm Admiral Cobalt in Starship Moonhawk, and I've played a couple other characters that we couldn't find suitable actors for or were pressed for time on. But as far as the Lavenders is concerned, I'll be playing season one's primary villain, Verrucht Weiss, or Weiss, if you want to be a little more accurate with your German pronunciation there. Now, I will not be playing him with a German accent. Uh, I decided that even though I do have Czech and Polish ancestry, that's not close enough for me to fake an accent. And to be honest with you, I've never been particularly good with real accents. Like I've gotten some, I've done okay with like jokey stereotypical accents, but as you all know, any of you who follow me regularly know this. I'm not a fan of stereotypes. I don't particularly like that. And I'm trying to build a different kind of studio that doesn't cater to that mindset. Of just, oh, well, as long as people get the idea, that's good enough. Well, no, that's not good enough. And of course, we're also trying to give opportunities to, uh, actors and players who might not necessarily be known. In other words, we don't cast people just because they're famous or just because they happen to look like an animated character in real life, which I always thought was a really bizarre casting choice on the part of certain casting directors. Oh, they look like this person. That said, for promotional purposes, I actually did find uh, a cosplayer, well, actor who happens to be a cosplayer. Let's get that straight. Named Jessica Felice, who really, really looks like Rose. So we're talking about some things, and nothing has actually happened yet. No commitments or anything like that. So we'll see how that goes. But we may have a spokesmodel for the character and for the series, and I hope that goes well. But until then, mum's the word. Um, I'm sure some of you are probably seeing the cat tree there, and those feet sticking out belong to my cat Doodles. She's uh, she's a beast, and she weighs 15 pounds, and she's huge. So it's amazing that you can only see her feet. Oh, jeez. But yeah, so yeah, life in quarantine. How much fun is that? Uh, Other good news. Speaking of projects and opportunities, the Covert Ops IndieGoGo campaign is actually going a lot better than I anticipated. It's currently at 28%, and that means so we're at about $285 out of the projected $1,000 needed. Now, it is flex funding, which means that at this point, because we've crossed the minimum $100 threshold, we will actually get the funds that are currently promised to us. However, a couple of things have happened. My Mac Mini is starting to die, first and foremost, which is making it extremely difficult for me to actually do the finishing touches, because I do a lot of the title optics and final assembly for the film. So Keith does a lot with putting together the actual film footage, and then as director and co-editor, I end up assembling the final pieces, sometimes including the soundtrack, uh, like I said, title opticals, uh, what are they, crossfades, things like that, to get the whole thing. And I do that typically in iMovie, which is not terribly sophisticated, but it gets the job done and it's smooth. And of course, the output is surprisingly universally compatible. So I'd like to keep that operational, and I've got a 2000 a mid 2011 Mac Mini, and even though it has an i5 processor and 16 gigs of RAM, it's not keeping up because it's 3 operating systems behind and I can't update it. So that was one of the things that we stipulated that I would need to replace as part of the campaign, and unfortunately, it's becoming much more urgent because, thanks to the way Apple handles operating system updates, if a machine becomes too old, it starts doing this weird freezing thing to where you'll try to do something and then you'll click on it, and then the little swirling rainbow icon will come up and it'll just sit there. And so that's what they do now, is they deliberately throttle stuff down to try to make it frustrating and make you buy new equipment. Now, I can't afford a brand new Mac Mini, but I can get a 2014 or newer i7 based one on eBay for around $400. So that is factored into the budget of this episode. Um, and then lastly, the most exciting thing would be a potential stretch goal. If we can get to $1,000 and then beyond, if we can get to $1,150 or even $1,300, I may be able to hire a composer who approached me on Instagram. Not naming names yet because we're still in negotiations. We're still in the preliminary phases of talking and so on and so forth. Um, my previous mention of the model of Jessica was because even if we don't come to an agreement on that, she's an amazing cosplayer and actor, and you should go see her work regardless. So that was just a general plug. But this is a little different. Because I haven't really had a chance to actually get on Skype call and speak to this person yet, who's offering to work with us as a composer now. What's exciting about that is I've never had anybody approach me before and ask to join our production. That's kind of a first. In the past, I've asked people generally to come out and apply, and then they're like, "Oh, wow, that's exciting! I'm gonna do that." And over time, we've gotten a little on the slow side and a little more pragmatic about our process and so on and so forth. So as a result, people's interest in certain parts of the project have waned a little bit. But this is exciting because, like I said, they found us through IndieGoGo and contacted me independently and asked to, discuss our vision and potentially do a demo track and so on and so forth that we may be able to use in the new episode. So that's extremely exciting. I'm very pleased about that. Hopefully we can work something out, make that all work, and yeah. So that's it for this week's Max Mind. I may, I may jump in and do another informal episode if something truly amazing develops. But be sure to check us out on IndieGoGo for the Covert Ops campaign, as well as upcoming episode quote unquote 0 of the Lavenders, which will be our big YouTube debut. Of course, click like and subscribe. Make sure to join the channel so that way you can see updates. And we'll see you next time. Mac Paladin.